Our theme this month, as you know, is Seeds of Freedom. And today I want to talk about no mystery in truth. No mystery in truth. My, that would suggest that we are dispelling something secret. Whose secret? Mine? Yours? His? Hers? Fortunately, I don't see anybody picking up their chair and folding it and preparing to leave just over the possibility of what this might be. But the secret, the truth, if you will, is that we are going to be discussing today, in keeping with our series on the topics of the basics of science of mind, that we bring up the next step. In week 1, we reminded ourselves that there's one mind. That mind is God's mind, and that mind is operating in and through each one of us. Always. Dr. Holmes called that the thing itself. So for those of you who already have a copy of The Science of Mind, you will note that the very first chapter is the thing itself, and that is a mystery in and of itself until you read the chapter. And though sometimes we've been known to forget it, we reminded ourselves that first week that there's a divine nature within each one of us, and that we can give it permission to express through us. As Kim talked about in her spiritual mind treatment this morning, that these things are expressing through me or by means of me as I awaken to their existence, and that it's in me to be expressed. We also talked the first week about the fact that this divine nature is always present in us. It's always available for us to use. And that our use of it is what enables us to be free to be ourselves in our thoughts, in our ideas, in our intentions, in our actions. Then last week we explored how this principle of life works. That's chapter 2, incidentally, in The Science of Mind. For those of you who were here last week, you'll remember that we likened it to the need to look within. I suggested that sometimes we need to read the directions on some of the treasures that we buy, either to give as gifts or to keep for ourselves to make our lives easier and more comfortable. I suggested that often the pieces or the parts in the box of what we bought don't look like what it was we thought we were buying when we bought it. And I talked about the fact that in those cases, we need to follow the directions step by step and attach those parts piece by piece. We need to put our attention and our focus on the construction and completion of the task. 2 parts there, construction and completion of the task. Because when we do these things, we are ultimately successful. We're able to transform those bits and pieces into what it was we intended when we first bought it. We reminded ourselves that life is like that. We come into this plane of expression, that is, we pop into this world by the experience of birth, with all the parts and all the directions, but not necessarily all in place. Our challenge is to build on our consciousness. Our purpose is to expand and enhance our consciousness. Our goal is to see ourselves transforming the bits and pieces into what it is that we're capable of doing. Which brings us to today. There's no mystery in truth. In fact, chapter 3 of The Science of Mind. See, it's not ominous at all. It's already been done. It's already been written. It's already been published. and widely distributed. In fact, it's not even a secret. What it is that we've realized I am that which God is. And we've recognized that we can take this truth and do it, be it, have it. This third talk in our series, Seeds of Freedom, on the basics of the science of mind, comes from that third chapter. Those first 4 chapters are like a prologue. In today's world, they'd probably be set up as a prologue. But instead, Dr. Holmes did the thing itself, how it works, what it does, and how to use it. Which is like a little how-to handbook, isn't it? It's like the directions in that box that's not yet all put together, but all the pieces are there. So what it does means what the principle of life does, how that works. Life is not something to put off or plan for in the future. You know that old saying, life is what happens to us while we're making other plans. That's what life does. Life is working through us. Intelligence, divine intelligence, is working through us. Spirit, essence, is working through us, whether we admit it or not, and whether we benefit from it or not. That's what life does. We're using this God-givingness even when we just wake up in the morning, suck air for 16 hours, and go back to bed. But getting involved in life is so much more than that. Getting involved in life is being willing to take on the day, knowing that life is willing to take us on. You see, the principle is really very simple. It's the nature of the universe to give us what we are willing to accept. That's the biggie. Put that in caps. Underline it. Life gives us what we are willing to accept. Spiritual wisdom says that God manifests through everything. The mechanical laws of nature are set and immutable. But our spontaneous recognition of these laws acting through us gives us the power to bring them into practical use, application in every act, in everyday life and experience. That's what living life is all about. Choice, volition, conscious action. If you don't know what those words mean, go to the glossary in the Science of Mind text. They're all there. You see, the laws of the universe are to be trusted, but we must come to understand them in order to use them. So, how do I come to understanding them? Well, you didn't ask, but I'm glad you're here because I'm going to tell you. In truth, I have several answers, and there's no mystery in any of them, but you get to pick and choose. You can take them all and start working on them at random. You can take them and you can put them in order sequentially for what you think will work for you. You have lots of options to work with expanding your understanding and your practice of these things. You get to make the conscious choices. You get to take the conscious action to learn, and you can do that right here. Here's one way. We offer classes and sometimes workshops and seminars on an ongoing basis through this center. And we're authorized by our International Home Office to do that. All of these offerings are designed to support you and guide you in learning ways to live your life better. We don't tell you what to think. We show you how to think so that you can individualize this for your life. These options are offered so that you can expand your understanding of how universal laws work for you. or seemingly against you. You can sign up to take our accredited Science of Mind classes, and these are offered in 8 or 10-week blocks. We have one going now our 4th session is coming up this next week, so we're about halfway through it. And it will immediately be followed. We're doing the spiritual path right now. Ooh, not too shabby. And that will immediately be followed by a companion class of another 8 weeks. So that's available, or you can sit in on the one we're doing now. It's past the time when you can get accreditation for having taken it, but you can still attend and be in that consciousness, that expanding consciousness of these students who are in their first year of accredited courses. And it's quite an experience to be in that energy with them. We learn how to be more proactive in our own behalf, whether it's about our physical life, our emotional life, our mental life, or our spiritual life. Our physical health, emotional health, spiritual health. I can tag all of those with prosperity too. Because you see, the path that works to prosperity also works in the path to love, to health, to creativity. The physical laws of the universe are immutable. They work the same way all the time. You can count on that. As you learn to count on your own use of them. So if you're looking to improve your life in any one or all of these areas, you can't afford to miss these opportunities. Because if you're not supporting your own growth and improvement in those areas, who do you think will? It all starts with us individually. Here's another choice you can make to support yourself and to guide yourself in learning to live life better. You can participate in our midweek gathering. This group meets every Wednesday night at 6:30 here in Waikoloa Village or in the surrounding communities. And beginning not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, which is, help me out with the date, folks, about the 17th or 18th, we will also begin a Thursday afternoon gathering in Waimea at Tina Stewart's home. And it will be from 3:30 until 5. So if it's possible for you to be there that time of the day, that's another option. For these groups that we do, with the opportunity to talk more about what's presented here on Sunday. Sunday I get to talk, and Wednesday night in Waikoloa, and Thursday afternoon in Waimea, you get to talk about how you're processing these ideas, how that's showing up in your life. And it's in a relaxed, comfortable setting with people of like mind in gracious settings. And this is something we're going to be doing ongoing in Waimea, which replaces what I've been doing at Tutu's house. A number of the people who've been coming to the Tutu's house workshops are asking for more of the metaphysical principles behind and supporting these ideas that we've been discussing. And in order to feel ethically appropriate in expanding on that, we're moving that into a venue where we have total freedom to do that. So anyone whose spirit or essence resides in a physical body, and all of us here this morning qualify as that, we really owe it to ourselves to learn about how such things as how thought processes affect the cells of the body. the organism in which we live and move and have our being in this plane of existence. Wayne Dyer used to call it the temple where I park my soul while I'm here on planet Earth. Without learning about how our thought affects all the other functions in our lives, including our body, we have no idea what we're doing to ourselves with thoughts of anger, judgment, jealousy, envy, apathy, inactivity, martyrism, victimhood. I haven't named them all, but I'm tired of them. I'm not going to name them anymore. But you get the drift of how these kinds of emotions, particularly when they are repressed in us or held down in us, have to have an outlet somewhere. And it's the body. So anyone who says that he or she wants to be healthy, eat healthy, act healthy, wants to express health, owes it to themselves to know what that means, because that's part of it. And there's more. For example, how many of you know that research has proven that many, many cases of dementia actually are symptoms of dementia brought on by dehydration of the body? The cause? You don't drink enough water to hydrate your body on an ongoing basis. Therefore, your electrolytic balance has been disturbed. And the result is outpicturing as dementia. Now, that's not a fix-all, but that's something to be aware of in the function of the outward expression of who and what we are in the body. To be alert, first of all, to be inquiring, and to be intuitive. How often have you been thirsty? It's working. Right behind you, Kim. It's working. How often have you been thirsty and you didn't have any liquid around? Or you said, I'll take care of that in a minute. Or that you go to something else instead of water that your body is telling you it wants, it needs, it's asking for. So it's becoming aware in every level of consciousness. Now, there are those of us here who agree that maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours a week, to caring for our body as an integral part of our being is a really small price to pay in order to lead a happy, productive life. I'm thinking about that commercial that just tickled me and continues to on television that says, what if you could eat one piece of broccoli and get all the calcium you need? What if you could just do one bench press and build your muscles to where you didn't need to exercise anymore? You know, that's a cute commercial and it's so ridiculous it gets our attention. And yet, how many people only remember to pray on Christmas and Easter? You know, it's pretty similar. So here's another thing you can do in behalf of your own spiritual development. You can get up 15 minutes earlier on Sunday morning and come down here 30 minutes earlier than you presently do for a healing service. 99.9% of the time, Paula and I are here. And we sometimes do meditation, and we sometimes talk, and we sometimes pray together. And we utilize that period of time after we've done the setup to begin to set the spiritual pattern for what's happening right now, this service. We put that into this space every Sunday morning. You can join us for that. We can do spiritual mind treatment if you'd like to have it done in safe haven, in anonymity if you choose. You can sit in the silence with us, or we can put music on if that helps. But 15 minutes devoted to centering ourselves in such a way that as the service unfolds, you will hear and absorb that which is for you and you alone during this time. Because something always unfolds that serves each person here in a very individualized and special way. And we do this on Sunday morning as a gift to you. So that you have an opportunity, as the saying goes, to be prayed up, to be infused with that sense of oneness, that knowing of connection with everyone here, with these principles, but most of all in alignment personally. Here's something else. You can buy books, CDs, DVDs that explore the principles of the science of mind, of conscious living, of spiritual unfoldment. You can go on YouTube and find Ernest Holmes. And you can find ministers within our organization whose talks are up on YouTube. And as of Friday, Steve has 16. You've been on the YouTube channel. 16 of these talks posted, and we started posting January, this past week. So what he's going to do now is he's going to get caught up to where he's current on the talks I'm doing now, and then he'll go back and pick up the ones from last year. But we're going current, so when you miss a Sunday, you'll be able to hear that talk and still stay current with the series that I'm doing. So where books and CDs and DVDs are concerned, we can make recommendations to you if you like. We can even purchase those books for you. Through our distributor, DeVore's Publishing, we have a plethora of metaphysical material of this nature. And we have a catalog on order for 2016. I can bring that in. You can look through it and pick some of the things you're looking for. I know many of you order through Amazon and through other distributors, and as long as you're having success with that, great. Sometimes we find with some of the materials that we utilize, there is a longer lag time to delivery, and DeVore's is actually more efficient in that regard. But it's your call. The idea is happy to coach you, to recommend to you, to hear from you something that's working well so we can share it with others. And then here's another thing. For some of us, me included, in fact, probably me especially, what we can do is actually read the books that we've already bought. Listen to the CDs and watch the DVDs. If you're like me, you probably have some stacked on the nightstand or elsewhere with every good intention of reading them, but you just haven't gotten around to it yet. And I must confess, people give me things to read, and I put them in the stack, because there's always a stack. And on top of the nightstand, in the nightstand, beside the nightstand, of things that eventually it's my intention to read. So these are just some of the things we can do. They're choices we can make. They're conscious actions that we take to do more in our lives than just suck air for 24 hours a day. They're ways we can overcome wondering why life isn't treating us better. They're ways that we can eliminate being on terminal hold in somebody else's voicemail. So the principle here is a simple one. There is this unlimited power in the universe. We're using it all the time. You can use it by choosing to live your life fully and consciously. You can use it by learning how the universe can and will support you in that. Because what the principle of life does is to make itself available The rest is up to each of us as to how and if we use it. I can almost hear the wheels turning. I knew there was a catch to this one. I knew I was going to get in over my head. I knew the promise of a sure thing was too good to be true. And if that's what we think, it becomes what we believe. Once it becomes what we believe, it becomes what we are. It's what Dr. Holmes calls courting the particular presence of some definite concept. Courting the particular presence of some definite concept is what's always at work. So that being the case, why not court universal possibility to flow into and through the particular channels that serve us best in life? Remember that analogy we've used in the past about these universal laws working like the law of electricity works. It can light up a room or it can shock us. There's a force for good in the universe, and that force can work in a positive way in our lives or a negative way in our lives by our choice, no one else's. It's the application of the power that's the option and the direction in which we send it. So we get to decide to use it for our own good. We get to decide how to use it for our own good. So this is the scientific application of a universal principle. There, you know, that now you see it. You're actually a scientist. And you're operating in the spiritual realm. Because we're applying universal spiritual principles in the practical application of living a spiritual life. And this is definite. Each state of thought, each intention, each action taps the same basic process. But each thought, each intention, each practice brings forth a different and definite result. This is what Ralph Waldo Emerson meant when he said unity passes into diversity. And Holmes said, and diversity passes into unity. Remember the law of circulation, always moving in a circular fashion. Another way we can say this is that God expresses itself through the individualization or the particular presence that each of us is. So the secret's out. But it's not really a secret, is it? It's a realization that God is all there is and we're it. It's no secret that we're living our heritage and that life is living us. And we're coming to recognize that there's no mystery in this. It's metaphysical, yes, but mysterious, no. Remember, metaphysical means to transcend or to go beyond the physical to the science of being. William James called that an unusual attempt to think clearly and consistently. A little tongue-in-cheek there. An unusual attempt to think clearly and consistently. So it's our realization of what the power of mind can do. And this is the same power which moves in and through our individualized minds. So today, right here, right now, I invite you to give yourself a pat on the back and a big hug for recognizing your own willingness and love of self that allows you, that permits you, that urges you to live these principles. I invite you to accept that you're worthy and deserving of all the good that the universe has to offer. When you think, something happens to that thought. The field through which it operates is infinite. In other words, there's no limit to how much how long or how good that thought can be. It's the nature of thought to produce. Why not produce the very best with yours? And so it is.